Okay, I'm going to create a video of some of the review problems since we're not in class together. I'm looking at problems off of the review that's posted in my math lab that goes with sections 3.1 to 5.5 and 7.1 and 7.2. So this has to do with lines and slope. Okay. All right, so I thought we'd look at several of these. So in problem number 2, you're being asked to complete the table of values, and it'll give you some equation, and then it specifies the values it wants you to be using. So you don't have that luxury. So you have to understand how to do this. All right, so on that first part right here, on the first one, they're wanting us to let x be 0. So you take your equation, but where x is, you're going to put a 0 in there, which means that'll be 0, and you'll just have 3y equal 30, so you can see that y would have to be 10. Okay? For the second row, they're asking you to find the ordered pair where the y-coordinate is 0. So you would do the same thing, except you would go back to the original equation, and where the y should go, you'll put in a 0. Then that means 3 times 0 would be 0, and you'd have 5x equals 30, so you'd have to divide by 5, and that would tell you that x equals 6, and that would be the answer for that one. All right, and then for the last one, they're giving you that y is 5, and they're asking you to find the x. So what you do is you plug in the 5 for the y, because it was under the y, and then you solve that equation. Okay, but this time you have a little more work to do because you weren't using the intercepts. You weren't using the points that had a 0. So you just have to do the work. And so this is why chapter 2 was so important. You're going to come in and subtract 15 from both sides, wind up with 5x being 15, divide by 5, and you find out that your x would have to be 3. So this should be 3 right here. Okay. All right, so that's how you would do number 2. That's all they wanted on that one. On later problems, they ask you to go on and graph. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and pretend. So what if they asked you to graph those ordered pairs? This is like in number 5. Okay. All right. So like if they asked you to graph those ordered pairs, then you'd be, and that number 5 was actually multiple choice. So you just had to make sure you had it straight. So you would have looked for a point up here at 10. Okay. Then you'd look to make sure there was a point over here at 6. And then a point right there at 3, 5. All right. And that problem number 5, the directions say complete the table of values and then plot the ordered pairs. Okay. So 5 is just like the question I showed you, number 2, except for you would go on and plot the ordered pairs. Okay. All right. The next problem I want to do is number 6. All right. So for problem number 6, this is the one about the posters. So it says they have a $25 setup fee, and then they charge 75 cents per poster. Okay, so this is the setup fee, and then 75 cents per poster. And it says the cost in Y dollars to print X posters is given by, and they already write the equation. So, earlier I had asked you to write the equation in an earlier homework, but they did that for you. So you know why this is what it is. The $25 setup fee plus the 75 cents per poster. And then it's important to make note that X is the number of posters and that Y turns out to be the cost in dollars. Okay. All right. So then you're going to use that model for part A and part B. So on part B, it said find the cost if you have print 30 posters. Then it goes on and says, what about if you print 100? We'll just do one of these. Okay, so when it asks you that, they're giving you posters. So that means in this model right here, the 30 should go where the posters are supposed to go, which is X. So this is X, and you use it for the X. And then you really just have an expression that you need to type into your calculator to simplify, and you'll have your answer. So let me think about that. So 30, let's see. I always forget to grab my calculator before I start my videos. So let me just pull it up on my phone. So I'm going to take 0.75 times 30. That gives me 2250. And then I'm going to add the 25. And that tells me that the cost would be $47.50. Okay. And on that one, they have the dollar sign there. So all you do is put in the $47.50. You do the same for the 100. Just replace the X with 100. Okay. But part B is very different. Part B says, find the number of posters when the cost turns out to be 175. They want you to get the number of posters. Okay, that's the reverse of what we did before. There, they said you had 30 posters, and they wanted you to determine the cost. Now it's the other way around. So you're going to take your equation, but this time the 175 is actually the Y. So it should go there. It's the dollars, right? This is where the cost should go. All right, but then this shouldn't be too bad because this turns it back into a chapter 2 problem. A lot of you have been working really hard on that chapter 2 material. Okay. All right, so we're going to come in here and subtract the 25. We get 0.75x equals 150. Divide by 0.75. Okay, and see what we wind up with. So it'll tell us how many posters we can do for 150. Now we know it's going to be a good number because earlier 30 posters only cost us $47.50. So it's going to be, much bigger than that, we know. Okay, when you do that, you wind up with 200, X being 200, so that means 200 posters. Okay. All right, so that's, I think, an important question to kind of understand what these equations in 2 variables are all about. All right, the next one I thought I'd show you is number 9. All right, now that one gets into graphing. It says, find the intercepts and graph the equation. Okay. And so the second I see the word intercepts, I know they're talking about me finding points on the, I won't draw it that way, me finding points that are going to be on the X or the Y axis. So that means they're asking me to make sure that when I choose the ordered pairs that I find the ones that have a 0 for X and then find the one that has a 0 for Y. All right, so with my problem number 9, I had to find the intercepts and graph this equation in 2 variables, okay? All right, so let me just move that up because I'm just going to use that table I already did. This is what they're talking about. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to let X be 0. So I'm going to take my 2, and then right there where X goes, I'm going to put a 0 and I'm going to work that out. So when I put a 0 in where the 2 is, that's gone, and I see that Y would have to be 4. Okay, then I'm thinking about, all right, the other intercept would be if I let Y be 0. So I leave that alone, but where the Y is, I'm going to put a 0. So when I do that, I get, let me make it take up less room. I get this to be gone, divide by 2, and I wind up with X being 2. Okay. And then it asked me to go on and use the graphing tool. So this is one of the first times we've used the graphing tool. So let me go ahead and go into the assignment. Let's see here. And no, that's the printed version. Let me go to the one where I actually work them out. So let me go into the assignment, and I'm actually going to do the problem, okay? Now, it might turn out to be a different question now that I'm actually going in there, so I'll have to possibly work that problem out again. Let's see what they give me. No, they gave me 2x plus y, okay? All right, so let me snip it so I can write on it. Nope, I don't want to snip it. I just want to do it. Sorry, let me go back. I just actually want to be able to use the tool. All right, so we did 2x plus y equal 4. And so you can look back and see the points. I'm going to make it a little bigger so I can see it. So you choose the line tool, and then you plot those points. And because they're the ones that have the 0 in them, you need to be careful. So one of the ordered pairs was going to be 0, 4. So be real careful. That means don't go left or right and then go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the other point that worked was the point 2, 0. The 2 for the x, 0 for the y. So you go to 2 on the x and then 0 for the y. So that's graphing using the intercepts. It's really a good method. The only issue with it is that sometimes people plot those points wrong. So you may want to find one more point. Like for instance, if you plug a 1 in for x, the y would have to be 2. You may want to plot a third point just to make sure that you didn't mess up when you graphed. And then that should be it. You can check your answer, okay? All right. Now let me go back. So that was number 9. So with number 9, I showed you how to use the graphing tool. So all we did is take these 2 points. They're 2 separate points. And you plot the point 0, 4, that's here. And then you use the tool, move to 2, 0, that's here. And then it gives you the line that goes through those, okay? All right, so the next one I'm going to show you is number 12. Number 12 is one where I don't have any work to do. I'm just trying to plot these points and then come up with the equation. So I'm going to go back to the assignment and do it on that. So I wanted to look at number 12. Okay. All right, so let me get those points plotted. So I'm going to take my line tool. I'm going to plot the point -4, -6. Make sure I'm in the right spot. Okay. And see how it shows me up in yellow that I did that correctly? It kind of shows me the ordered pairs. That helps a lot. Then 0, -6. Well, that would be right there. And then 4, -6 would be over here, but I already have my line, so it won't put that third point on there. So what I'm trying to get the equation for is this line that is down here at 6. And what you're trying to do when you write the equation is tell somebody what's true about every point on that line. And so you see how on that line, all the y's would be 6? The equation of the line would be that very thing. Y equals, let me make it an equals. There it is. I was over one. There we go. Y equals 6. Okay. And you can check your answer. Right? And that's because that was horizontal. Okay. And so all the y coordinates were the same. Let me go back to the whiteboard. I'm going to jot that down on that. So on number 12, when I plotted the points, I had a whole bunch of points. My ordered pairs here are a little different. The one I have this time, I have all these points that are down at -4. So I have -5, -4, 0, -4, 3, -4. So you see how I'm going right or left, but then I'm always going down 4. So I wind up getting this line right here. So when you think about it, when you look at it, see how these ordered pairs, existing ones they gave me, all have y's of -4? See how that would be true for every point on that line, not just those 3. And so when they ask for the equation, that's what you can look at to help you think about why the equation is just y equals -4, because your y coordinates are always -4. Hope that makes sense. Okay, now we're going to get into slope now. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop this and then post it, and then I'll do some on slope.